Ireland squad for the Six Nations 2025 has been named, folks, as they chase down a first ever 3 Six Nations titles in a row. Remember, no Andy Farrell means Simon Easterby is in charge, and the initial reaction to this squad is it's pretty steady as she goes. There's one uncapped player, and most of the veteran guys are still there. If you want, you kind of 34, you're 35, you're 37-year-olds. This is the squad, which as a Kiwi kind of feels foreign because our guys, once they get to that age, they all head to Japan to make a few bucks before they retire. But they get to stick around in Ireland, and they are chasing, as I said, a historic third title. We will see how they go. I do think the fixtures list, even if it does kind of look like haha, with the kind of home and away, I think it looks pretty kind, even if it is just the 2 home games. So we'll go through the squad. You guys can let us know your thoughts. I say steady as she goes because there's not too many changes from the squad that played in the autumn. 4 hookers. The return of Dan Sheehan is certainly a bit of welcome news. But the fact they've named 4 hookers, I'm assuming means he's not quite going to be ready for the opening round. I haven't seen any interviews with Easterby just yet. But most squads just go with the 3. So Herring, Kelleher, McCarthy, and Sheehan. But Sheehan is a cracking player, and his return is certainly a welcome one. One of the best players in the world. Such a dynamic guy for a hooker, and he's only 26. So very, very good news to have him back, but hopefully they kind of ease him back in. There's no point risking him after such a long ACL layoff if he's not quite 100%. Maybe ease him in from the bench, round 2, round 3, something like that, but certainly good to see him back. Props, remember Tom O'Toole's suspension has left a little bit of a vacancy, and we see Jack Boyle come into the squad. He is the uncapped guy, the 22-year-old Leinster loose head, so big achievement for him if he's able to get himself the first cap of this international career his, which is still in its infancy. Bealham, Clarkson, Furlong, Healy, and Porter. I mean, Clarkson's name is the only kind of newish one to that lot. The other guys are all very familiar. Healy's 37, Bealham's 33, Furlong's 32, and then Porter, who is maybe the most important man in the Irish squad. If you checked out the depth chart video we did just about how much game time that guy gets on the loose head, he is very, very relied upon, put it that way. So we'll see if he gets a little bit more help or if he still continues to kind of play deep into the games on the loose head. But yeah, Jack Boyle, see how he goes, and Thomas Clarkson only got 2 caps thus far, so a continuation to his international career, assuming he gets some game time. Locks, Henderson, McCarthy, Ryan, and then you got the guys like Tyg Byrne and Cormac Ezichukwu, maybe Byrne. Is he going to play lock? Is he going to play loose forward? He played more lock in 2024. Ezichukwu has only had the 1 cap, and he's one of the few Ulstermen in the squad, but he has looked the business. He's a pretty big bit of tall timber if they decide to play him on the blind side potentially, but again, pretty steady as she goes. Ezichukwu is the only newish guy. I mean, McCarthy's gone from kind of outside the squad to firmly established himself as one of the starting second rowers for Ireland. Henderson is the most senior of these guys alongside Byrne. These guys are 32 and 33 years old, but there's no denying Byrne. Like, he's been an absolutely phenomenal form for Munster, as evidenced by that recent kind of Champions Cup game at Thomond Park against Saracens. Lucy's Jack Conan, who's back in after a bit of an injury layoff. He's back into the squad. Caelan Doris is captain. He's likewise been in pretty phenomenal form. He's certainly keeping a lot of other Irish loose forwards out of the squad because Caelan Doris is just such kind of one of the first names off the team sheet. If he's the captain, probably the first name off the team sheet. Prendergast and Van der Fleer. So loose forward is one of those areas where you've seen a few guys, maybe names bandied about. Gavin Coombs, one comes up a lot. I've brought up his name before. He's never been able to really get himself cemented into the Irish squad, even when he's been in, I think, better form for Munster than he is in right now. I'm not saying he's in bad form for Munster. Been in solid form, but he's been in phenomenal form in the past and still not managed to crack it, so it seems like a pretty uphill battle for that guy. Tom Ahern is maybe one guy that you thought potentially could have snuck in, but he's not made it. That guy is proper dynamic, and I know Ollie Jaeger's only just back fit, so maybe that kind of counted against him in terms of the propping stocks. Nick Timoney is another one of the guys who's kind of fallen out of favour, but again, kind of like Doris keeping some of the other guys out in like 6 or 8. You think Van der Fleer keeps other guys, those kind of tackling machine guys, out of the game just with his consistency on the open side. In terms of the backs, Caelan Blade comes in with the injury to Craig Casey, but you know Gibson Park is going to be the starting guy anyway. Connor Murray is certainly the senior guy there at 35 years old. 3 10s in Crowley, Prendergast, and then potentially Frawley, or Frawley was that bit of kind of utility guy. You do feel like there is going to be an ongoing battle between Crowley and Prendergast for that number 10 jersey. I'm not sure if Frawley's versatility will kind of count against him in terms of being that kind of, is he going to be the bench guy just because he can cover multiple positions? Midfielders is again pretty stable. Aki, Henshaw and Ringrose. You would imagine it's between those 3 guys for the 2 starting jerseys, and then you know you got other guys like Jamie Osborne and Jimmy O'Brien who could potentially pop into the midfield if needs be. And then outside backs, I've already mentioned Osborne and O'Brien, they could be there. Mac Hansen, James Lowe, who's back in, Kelvin Nash, and then Hugo Keenan. So many of these spots in the Irish squad feel pretty much set in stone. Like Keenan's going to play fullback. James Lowe's going to play left wing. I'm assuming Mac Hansen's going to play right wing. Gibson Park's going to be 9. I'm assuming Jack Crowley, at least initially, is going to be 10. As I mentioned, like Aki, Henshaw, Ringrose, pick your 2 out of those 3. If he's fit, you think Dan Sheehan's going to start, but maybe not initially. Tyke Furlong and Andrew Porter will be the props, assuming Tyke is fit. Yeah, many of the positions feel more or less set in stone. They have also got kind of 4 squad players who will be training the squad, all uncapped guys: Hugh Cooney, Kyle Ford, James McNabney and Ben Murphy. I'm really pleased for Ford because when I've seen him playing for Connacht in recent times, he has been in absolutely cracking form. But yeah, the squad, as I mentioned, pretty steady as she goes. Maybe Jacob Stockdale is another one of the names who kind of missed out, but as I said, Keenan, Lowe, probably Hansen. Even if he's in the squad, Stockdale, I don't think he's cracking it personally. 23, if I'm not mistaken, Leinster players, 5 each from Munster and Connacht, and then 3 from Ulster. That has to be among the most dominant side makeups of all the squads around the world. Like in New Zealand, we've got 5 teams that make up the All Blacks. Even when the Crusaders were super dominant, I don't know that they were ever that kind of dominant. But I mean, Leinster, they're unbeaten in the URC. They're going well in the Champions Cup. So, yeah, it is what it is. It's a good-looking team. The fixtures, I think, also look pretty good. You've only got the 2 home games, but the 2 teams you'd probably want at home, you've got at home. England at home and France at home in rounds 1 and 4. The away trip to Scotland looks tasty, and Scotland are a threat for sure. They're a potential dark horse in the Six Nations. But that's like the one team that Ireland have just had the wood on. Even when Scotland have looked phenomenal, they've still not managed to beat Ireland for a bloody long time. Wales still getting their house in order. You feel like Ireland are going to be too good. And then Italy, yeah, you feel like Ireland should have their number as well. So at least on paper, it looks a pretty good fixtures list to certainly give this 3 Six Nations titles a good crack. As I mentioned, as a Kiwi, it is a senior squad, but I mean, the South African squad's been very successful, and they are likewise, still chock full of veterans who've kind of, gone back-to-back World Cups. There's a lot of guys in this squad who've won Grand Slams and Six Nations titles and, been number 1 in the world. So, yeah, it's a pretty good-looking team, albeit very stable. You guys let us know your thoughts. Do you reckon they should have gone a little bit more experimental? Or do you think getting that 3rd Six Nations title in a row has been the kind of thinking behind not chopping and changing 2 years out from a World Cup and in the year of a Lions tour? If you want some British and Irish Lions gear, check out the British and Irish Lions store down in the description. They are an affiliate of this channel, so happy days. Get yourself some gear ahead of this year's tour. You guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Ta-ra.